Hi everybody, it's Becky with Life Keys Energy. Welcome to tonight's restorative yoga class. For class, we will need 2 throws. We will also need a yoga block or 2 and potentially a chair or a wall unless you don't want to do legs up the wall to close. That's totally yogi's choice. Let's go ahead and get started coming into Sukhasana, heels in line with the groin. Starting to rock side to side, feeling the sit bones connect to the earth beneath you. Coming into just a little bit of stillness here. Bringing the shoulders up to the ears, waterfall the shoulder blades down the back. And start to imagine there's a string on the top of your head pulling you just a little bit taller. If it feels safe, close the eyes. And if it doesn't feel safe, lower the gaze down to the ground. Taking the next few breaths, start to notice how it feels to breathe tonight. Where does that air want to go? Where does that air not want to go? And start to notice, what is the quality of your breath tonight? Are you breathing quickly? Are you breathing slow? Are you getting enough oxygen? What does your breath feel like tonight? And then finally, which is stronger for you tonight, the inhale or the exhale? Without changing the breath, start to breathe in through the nose. And then exhale out through the mouth like you're breathing through a straw. Slow and steady. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through a straw. 5 more slow and steady breaths. I'm trying to keep this breath through practice, this slow and steady breath, letting the inhale be smooth and the exhale be smooth. Bringing your awareness back to this breath all the way through practice. And bringing the hands to heart center, pressing the thumbs into the sternum. Take just a moment to set a sankalpa or an intent for tonight's practice. This is your practice. Make it personal. Exhale, release the hands to the knees, drop the chin into the chest. Inhale the ear to one shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, ear to opposite shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Continue with this. Let your breath start to carry you. And And then when that ear finds one shoulder, go ahead and leave it there. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. And then walk your opposite arm away from the body, lengthening those scalenes. Coming back to that breath here. And walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up, switching sides. Bring the ear to the opposite shoulder. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. Walk the opposite hand away from the body, lengthening the scales. And then walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift. Bring the thumb up towards the ceiling. Bring it right between the shoulder blades any way that it gets there. Drop the ear to the opposite shoulder. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up, switching sides. Bring the thumb up towards the ceiling. Bring it right between the shoulder blades any way that it gets there. And drop the ear to the opposite shoulder. Inhale, lift up, release the arm, rolling out those shoulders. We're going to interlace the fingers and bring the fingers back behind the occipital. Elbows come out nice and wide. Drop the chin to the chest and then add just a little bit of pressure on the back of the head. Keep the spine straight for just a second here and take some deep breaths. And slowly start to round the spine, look down at the belly. Continue to keep the pressure on the back of the head. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up. We're going to take these same interlaced fingers, push the palms away at shoulder height. Round the back and look down at the belly, finding that stretch through the wings, all the way down through the SI joints. Inhale, lift up, exhale, release the hands and rolling up those shoulders. So we are going to come into a slightly different combination than we usually practice, but it'll make your neck and shoulders feel absolutely lovely. So this is a bus stop pose. We have lots of options. The very first option is to open those arms out wide like a T and give yourself a great big bear hug. Walk those fingertips back towards the shoulder blades and see if you can get those elbows to stack like so. From here, you'll lift the elbows up. So this is bus stop number 1. If this is easy peasy lemon squeezy, try opening those arms out wide like a T. Cross the elbows in front. Now your elbows need to stack here. Bend the elbows and bring the back of the hands together. Lifting up through the elbows. This is bus stop number 2. If this is easy peasy lemon squeezy, maybe try to flip the palms together. No matter which version you come to, we're all going to lift our elbows up. From here, we're going to start to do some great big neck circles in one direction, being very careful when you bring the head back behind you. And then when that neck is down on your chest, coming into some neck circles in the opposite direction. Coming back to center. Release the arms, roll out the shoulders. We're going to come into that on the other side. So coming into your version of eagle arms with the opposite arm in front, so reversing the cross. Everybody lifting up those elbows. And then coming into some great big neck circles on this side. And then when your chin comes to your chest, reverse directions. And slowly come back to center, release the arms and rolling out those shoulder blades. From here, we're going to cross the arm across the body, find the opposite knee, do your best beauty queen pose. And then draw the shoulder down towards your free knee as your elbow comes up towards the ceiling. Both sit bones are glued to the floor. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up, switching sides, reaching for the opposite knee. Do your best beauty queen pose. Draw your shoulder down towards the free knee, elbow comes up towards the ceiling. Breathe in here. Inhale, lift up, rolling out those shoulders one last time. So for our very first pose tonight, we're going to open with thread the needle. I'm going to suggest that you grab one of your blankets and you bring your blanket onto your mat into this really cute little square shape. It won't change the pose at all for you, but what it will do is add a little padding for your knees and make this just that much more comfortable. Depending on your flexibility, you may or may not want to have one of your blocks handy to use as a pillow. So if you're going to use a block, bring the block onto the mat. To do thread the needle, we come into tabletop pose. In tabletop, our knees are hips distance apart and all of our joints are stacked. From tabletop, we're going to inhale, one arm up towards the sky, and exhale, thread that arm through, placing the shoulder and the temple onto the ground. Now, if you would rather rest your temple onto a block, you're welcome to. From here, the hand that is underneath your shoulder, you're going to walk to the top of your mat. Use the spidey fingers to plug into the mat and pull your hips back just a little bit. Closing your eyes and hanging up here. Thread the needle. Taking 3 more slow, deep breaths here. Inhale, bring the hand back underneath your shoulder. Push yourself back into tabletop. We're going to come into that pose on the opposite side. Inhale the opposite arm up. Exhale, thread that arm through. Place the shoulder and the temple onto the ground. Creepy curl the hand to the top of the mat and use those spidey fingers to plug into the mat. Pull those hips back just a little bit and breathe in here. Taking 3 more slow, deep breaths here. Bringing the hand back underneath the shoulders, pushing yourself back up into Hero's Pose. From Hero's Pose, we're going to come into Puppy. Puppy has a couple of options, and again, instead of resting the forehead or the chin on the mat, you're welcome to rest it on the block if that is more comfortable. We're going to hold Puppy for 3 to 4 minutes here. So we're going to bring those legs a little bit wider so the hips can be comfortable and come back into tabletop. From tabletop, we're going to start by coming down onto the forearms and lining the pinky fingers up with the wide edge of the mat. From here, we're going to pull our hips back just a little bit and rest the forehead on the ground for Puppy. Notice what the shoulders feel like. Notice what your neck feels like. And notice what the hips SI joint feels like. If all 3 of those feel wonderful, go ahead and walk your hands out to the top of the mat. Push your hips back a little further and rest your chin on the mat while you look between your thumbs for extended Puppy. Notice the neck, notice your shoulder, notice your back. Taking some long, slow, deep breaths here. Taking 5 more slow, deep breaths here. Bring those hands back underneath the shoulders. Push yourself back into hero's pose. We're going to take our second blanket, and if you're me, you're going to start in French. If you're everybody else, it doesn't matter. And you're going to start to roll your blanket into a burrito, so that your burrito looks like so. We're going to bring our burrito about a third of the way down the mat, widthwise. We're going to bring one block at the top of the mat, and we're going to play with it. You might have it on the baby bear level. You might have it on the mama bear level. We're going to come into tabletop over a burrito and lower ourselves down. Extend the legs back behind you, and then point the toes in so that the heels can flop out. My burrito is right on my rib cage. So my chest is coming up and over it, and the burrito supports the rib cage. From here, We're going to walk one arm across the body in one direction and use those spidey fingers to hang onto the floor. We're going to walk the opposite arm across the body in the opposite direction using those spidey fingers to hold onto the floor and lowering the head down to the block. Coming into a pose we know and love as the Kelly. Opening up that back heart space, letting those wings really fully relax. Breathing. Taking 3 more slow, deep breaths here. Can we bring the arm that we've crossed in front, unthread that arm, and then cross it underneath? So effectively reversing the cross of the arms. Take a moment, moosh the hips and settle back in, coming into the Kelly on the opposite side. Taking 3 more slow, deep breaths here. We're going to uncross the arms, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, and push the hips back to meet the heels in a closed Balasana, child's pose. Now, if the arms do not feel good outstretched, maybe bring the arms back behind you and come into a closed Balasana. And then bring the hands back underneath the shoulders and push yourself up. So we're actually going to end up taking both blankets and kind of making a super burrito here. So to do that, I generally just stack my blankets on top of each other and then roll them together. So taking this little blanket burrito that you've made, we're going to bring it widthwise onto the mat. Again, about a third of the way down. I know that some of our friends that practice with us prefer to use the block at the top of the mat on the baby bear level as a pillow. That is a valid choice. If you choose to use a block as a pillow, you will be reducing the opening that occurs through the chest and some of the cervical stretch, some of the cervical release. So if that's what you're trying to do, please use the block. If that's not what you're trying to do, please just stay with the pose, breathe with it, and let the body relax. Again, this pose has lots of options. So we'll all start by bending the knees, planting the soles of the feet onto the ground. You want to bring your wings up and over your blanket and lower the head down to the ground. Opening those arms out wide like a T. Pause here for a couple moments. Notice how that neck feels and notice how that low back feels. Many of us are going to be like, this is golden. If you would like to take this deeper and your low back is liking this, go ahead and straighten both legs, coming into supported fish pose. Again, if you're choosing to use the block as a pillow, it looks more like this. Slowly deepen the breath. Bend both knees, plant the soles of the feet onto the ground. Bring your elbows underneath your body and use your elbows to push yourself up, or roll over onto your side and use your arms to push yourself up. Just don't lift your torso with your neck muscles. From here, we're going to keep the burrito just like it is. We'll grab one of our yoga blocks and we'll use our yoga blocks like so. So we're just going to basically hang on to them. What's going to happen is, again, you have options. So with the legs, maybe they're stacked, maybe they're stacked, maybe they're staggered, there's the word. Or maybe your top leg is even straight. Kind of depends on what's going to feel good on this low back, because that's what I'm worried about. You're going to take your rib cage, bring your rib cage up and over your burrito. Extend that bottom arm out towards the top of the mat. You'll take your block, hang on to it, and bring it up and overhead, like so, lengthening that side body. We're only going to be here for about 2 minutes, maybe 3. Taking some really deep breaths. Letting the neck, the side body, and the shoulders release. Slowly deepen your breath. Taking that top arm, go ahead and release it from the block and bring it in front. Using that top arm, push yourself up. And we're going to come into the side stretch on the opposite side. So turning the body around, bringing that rib cage up and over, extending the bottom arm down the mat, and bringing the top arm up and over, lengthening that side body. Taking 3 more deep breaths here. Releasing that top arm, bringing the hand onto the mat and pushing yourself up to a seated position. We're going to come into our final resting pose. If you practice with me frequently, you know we close in legs up the wall quite frequently. If that calls to you tonight, please feel free to come into legs up the wall. Otherwise, maybe come into a supported savasana. So taking this really big burrito and kind of moving it down the mat just a little bit. You bring the legs over the burrito so that the knees can rest. And lower down. Bringing the legs out as wide as the mat. Walking the shoulder blades down the mat. Palms face up. And take a moment here, roll out the legs, letting those toes flop out. Mush the hips, wiggle, 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 releasing any tension in that low back and hips. Shake the head no. Shake the head yes. And start to come into those deep, regulating belly breaths. Final resting pose, Savasana. Slowly start to deepen your breath and start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Bring the arms up and over the head for a full body stretch, taking up as much room as you possibly can from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. Rolling over onto one side, pausing there for just a moment. Bringing to mind one thing that you love about yourself. One thing that you're grateful for right now. And offering yourself just a moment of gratitude for taking time to practice tonight. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position with hands at Undulate Heart Center. And I leave you with these very poignant words from page 253 of the She Book, Volume 2. I want to be that for you, that friend, that sign, that call, that hand that lifts you back to the surface, to remind you that you don't have to carry any burden alone. There's nothing to be ashamed of, and there's a world out there that wants you to be a part of it, that needs you and loves you, and that believes in you. Just remember, you are not alone. I am so very grateful for the opportunity to practice with each and every one of you. I hope you leave this practice feeling just a skosh better than when we started. The light in me so very much honors the light in you. Namaste. If you find value in this practice, please share it with your friends and family. We do it every Wednesday at 7 p.m. If you're looking for some different content, something I haven't created yet, come join us over on Patreon. There's new inspired content every day. In the meantime, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Ali, oxen free!